Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I am excited to bring in Shabbat together again this week. Remember, Kabbalat Shabbat is the service dedicated to getting us ready, getting us energized, getting us in the mood for Shabbat. So whether that means closing your eyes and listening to the music or singing along, please join in whatever way you need to bring in Shabbat. We'll start together on page 10. The link is already in the chat with Yedid Nefesh, page 10. Shabbat Shalom to Jay and to Sophie, to Eldon, and to Regina. And please say hello. We'd love to say Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Jennifer. Yedid Page 11, we continue with Lechuna Ranana. Lechu, lechu, neranena, neranena, ladonai, naria, naria, letzuri sheinu. Lechu, lechu, neranena, neranena, ladonai, naria, naria, letzuri sheinu. Nekama Shabbat Shalom Steph and Shabbat Shalom Nathan. We're on page 13. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai Baruchu Shemo, Basru Al Kol Elohim. Page 15. Adonai malach tagil haaretz. Yavo. Oavei Adonai sinura shomer nafshot chasidah meyarashayim yatzilem. Hozaru ala tzadikul yishrei lev simcha simhu tzadikim b'Adonai ve'odu lezecher kodsho. Page 17. Mizmor shiru l'Adonai shir chadash ki niflaot asah hoshia lo yemino uzero akodsho di Adonai yeshuato ve'inei hagoyim gilatzikato Lifnei Adonai kiva lishbot haaretz yishbot tevel betzedek ve'amim b'meisharim. Page 19. Adonai malach yugezu amim. Page 20. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'akodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'akodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Page 21. Mizmor l'Navi havu l'Adonai b'nei Helim. What was it? Adonai yos le'amo iten Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Nathan and Daniel, Suzette and Dan. If you're joining us and you can, please write on chat. And if not, I'm so glad you're here. In any case, we're going to continue with Lachadodi on page 23. This is the psalm. If you haven't yet welcomed in Shabbat, this is the one where at the end we're going to open the door and literally bring Shabbat into our homes. So I invite you to give a little more during this song as we welcome in Shabbat. Lechandodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Handodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. שמו אחד ושמו תפארת ולתחילה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, וראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך ירמלוכה, ומיצאי מתוך אפיך, רב לך שבר ומקבך, והוא יחול עלי חמלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. We'll turn to the very last verse, page 25. Please rise. And if you're near a door, please open it and welcome Shabbat into your house and welcome Shabbat into your hearts. Bo'oi v'shalom aterepala, gam besimcha uvetzloha. We continue with the Psalm for Shabbat. We're going to pick up on the last few lines of the Psalm for Shabbat, page 28. Adonai malach utzlavesh mikolot mahim rabim mahadirim mishvareya vadir bamarom Adonai edotecha nemnu meod leveitana vakodesh Adonai leorech yamim. In love, we remember those who no longer walk this earth. We are grateful to God for the gift of their lives and for the cherished memories which endure. Today was the 12th of Cheshvan, on which we recalled the Yortzites of Said, Gedushim, Edwin Connor, Munes Korshad, Irving Lederick, Jacob Mao, and Joseph Novikov, as well as Najee Perry and Sylvia Weber. Tonight begins the 13th of Cheshvan, on which we recall the Yortzites of Isaac Braunfeld, Rahola Kohanim, Aaron Cohen, Bahram Dahi, Fanny Fish, Nathan Gandelman, Samuel Getman, Rudolph Mann, Musa Matlub, Agdas Rafi, Sidney Robbins, Walter David Schmier, Raphael Siegel, Gerald Joseph Siegel, and Jack Vaughn. This week, we mark the Yortzites for the 13th through the 19th of Cheshvan. Umberto Accardi, Philip Amsterdam, Rahula Barman, Howard Becker, Anna Biederman, Jerome Irwit Blatt, Alice Bloom, Isaac Brownfield, Meyer Brooks, Habib Kohan, Rahola Kohanim, Aaron Cohen, Frida Tonis Cohen, Shepard Hugh Cutler, Bahram Dahi, Nasser Danishkar, Morton Davis, Annette Eisen, Khalil Ashagian, Harry Fass, Fanny Fish, James Ford, Madeline Friedberg, Nathan Gandelman, Samuel Getman, Yaya Gatan, Solomon Gudushim, Sarah Gitman, Julia Gold, Helen Granitz, Jack Hirsch, Belle Hurwitz, Eva Evener, Emma Zussman Jager, Frank Kelman, Barbara Keppelman, Celia Kravitz, Roy Lapidus, Irene Lawson, Samuel Magarefta, Nancy Malvin, Rudolph Mann, Purandoch Maresed, Khalil Mashian, Edward Masai, Musa Matlub, Morris Meadows, Ellen Meth, Mayor Mikhail, Hussein Nasrin, Rabbi Nosrati, Ida Perelman, Mildred Pilson, Herbert Pogoda, Ahdas Rafi, Goldie Rafe, Sheldon Wrestler, Sidney Robbins, Lillian Rose, Bertha Rosenberg, Nathan Sand, Jacobo Smith, Walter David Schmier, David Schwartz, Erwin Schwartz, Raphael Siegel, Paul Shapiro, Gerald Joseph Siegel, Meryl Silverstein, Saeed Sinai, Frank Solomon, Benjamin Srayberg, Janet Strauss, Clara Sulamar, Sol Tech, Francis Tuckman, Jack Vaughn, Minnie Waldman, Max Webb, Denny Weinberg, Morris Weinstein, Betty Weisfeld, Bennett Weiss, Ann Wilkinson Todd, Louis Weinberg, Golda Wishnick, Malia Woolens, Isaac Yadigar, Cyrus Zarnagar, and Max Zatz. In the chat, I see we are also saying Kaddish for Mayor Ben Natan. Thank you, Nathan. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be a blessing as we honor them and their memories with the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 30. Yitz Gadal ve'yitz Kadash Shemei Rabbah ve'yalma divra chirutei ve'yamlich malchutei v'chai yechon u'yom echon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman kariv ve'imru amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah Bevarach Le'olam Olamei Amaya. Yitz Barach Ve'yish Tabach Ve'yitz Pa'ar Ve'yitz Romam Ve'yit Naseh Ve'yitz Hadar Ve'yitz Atlei Ve'yitz Halal Shmei Dekudsha Brichu La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tush Bechata V'nechemata Da'amiran Be'alma Ve'imru Amen Yehi Shlama Rabbah Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'imru Amen Oseh Shalom Biromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'imru Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Before we continue with our evening service, I want to share a few words of Torah with you. I've been thinking this week about peace and conflict. Of course, with the elections coming up, there's a sense of general divisiveness in the air. If you go online, it's apparent. You can't escape it. And it's come to my understanding by reading this week's Parsha that there are two different kinds of peace. We can all agree that peace is better than conflict. But we see from this week's Parsha that there are different ways to arrive at peace. And I think there's a higher peace and a lower peace, an ideal peace, and then a livable peace, which is still better than arguing. And I was thinking about it in terms of this. In this week's Torah portion, Abraham and his nephew Lot are blessed by God with prosperity, and they have lots of gold and lots of silver and lots of cattle, and their herdsmen, those in charge of the cattle, begin to quarrel because there's not enough grass for both Abraham and Lot's cows to pasture in. So Abraham tells Lot, he says, look, we cannot live here together peacefully. Choose a direction to go. If you go right, I'll go left. If you go left, I'll go right. But we need to live in peace with one another. And we can't. If we're going to still have a peaceful relationship, we need to separate. And so I think this is one way to achieve peace. And I don't think we should shy away from it. I think it's really okay if you're quarreling to the point where you can't stop to take space. Sometimes you really can't coexist with somebody in a peaceful way, and so you need space. That could also mean sometimes you can't talk about certain things. You need to take space from certain issues. Now, Abraham and Lot still have, a familial relationship. They still respect each other, and I believe there's still love there. In fact, later in the Torah portion, when Lot is kidnapped, it's Abraham himself who goes and rescues him. And so you see, this is peace achieved through separation. And I think it's a lower kind of peace. It's better than conflict, but sometimes it's okay to separate. In this way, Abraham and Lot were still able to maintain a relationship through separation. And I think the day of the week that to me symbolizes this is Shabbat. On Shabbat, we recognize this as a day separate from the other 6. In fact, we have 2 candles at least that we light separately from one another. You can't light it together. You need 2 separate candles because you say lahadlik ner shel Shabbat, to light a candle of Shabbat. And a ner is a single wick. Candles have to be separate. And so the day is all about separation and a kind of peace through separation. Now, I believe there's also a higher peace, which is truly being together and coexisting one with the other. We see this at the end of Shabbat. After the entire day of Shabbat, for Havdalah, you need to have candles with wicks that are combined. You need at least 2 wicks in your Havdalah candle, and they need to be lit at the same time together. And through that, we see that the light, when it comes together, is much brighter. We see that we see this also in the Zohar, in terms of how God emanates into the world. There needs to be a balance of the sefirot on the right and the left. And if there's not a balance, then God doesn't emanate into the world. God doesn't come into the world. Sometimes separation is okay, but when you're able to be together, you can make a brighter peace. And I'll end just with this verse. We always say, we sing the song, Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good is it when brothers and sisters can sit together? And the rabbis say, what is this extra word gam doing in there? Shevet achim gam yachad. The verse could have said, Hine ma tov u'manayim. How good is it? Shevet achim yachad. That brothers and siblings sit together. But shevet achim gam yachad? Why the gam? And rabbis say that gam shows you that when brothers and sisters can sit peacefully together, then God is there too. When we can coexist with each other, then God comes into the world. When there's a balance of right and left, like in the Sefirot, God comes into the world. With the Havdalah candle, our light is brighter. But when the choice is conflict, or even what you might call a separate peace, a lower level of peace is still better than conflict. But we should always be striving to live together so that way our flames can combine and we will be able to shine brighter. So with that, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We'll continue with their evening service with the words of the Baruch Hu on page 39. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai mevorach leolam va'ed. You may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'vrachim Umavir Yom Umehi Vilayla Mavdil Ben Yom Uvein Laila Adonai Tzevaot Shemo El Chavekayam Tamid Lo Chaleinu Leolam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Hamari Varavim. Page 40. Ahavat Let me see. Okay, no, let me show you. V'avatcha tosim mimenu le'olam Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. We'll sing the Shema together, page 41. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta t'alecha b'levav b'shamach U'midach v'yiru min Hashem Elohim s'levat Adonai Elohechem emet. We're on page 43a. U'malchuto b'ratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe v'nei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabba v'emru chulam Mi chamocha b'helim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Nohora tehilot tohu sefele Malchutecha rubanecha b'keyam lifnei Moshe Ze'elianu ve'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed ונאמר כי פדרת יעקב וגלום יחזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גא ישראל. Page 45. השכיבנו שם הבנים לכן לך בסדר ושמור צאתנו ובואינו לכם שלום את העבר עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך Baruch atah Adonai haporer sukat shalom aleinu velekol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We rise for V'shamru in the Chatzi Kaddish on page 46. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Yitzkada Shemei Rabba Behmad Ivrach Yirutei V'yamlich Malchutei B'chayechon U'vyomechon U'v'chayidecho Beit Yisrael B'hagala U'v'zman Kari V'yimeru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Olamei Homaya Yitbarach Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzbar v'yitzuman v'yinaseh v'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzalal shemei dekucha brichu le'elamin kol birchata v'shirata tushvechata v'nechemata Namiran Behama Ve'imeru. Amen. We'll continue with the silent Amidah for our evening service, beginning on page 47 and ending on page 52. Please take this time for your own private reflection and private prayer. If you've not yet completed your Amidah, please continue to do so at your own pace. Our service continues with Kaddish Shalem and Aleinu on page 54. Yitzkarav Hashem Me'Rabba Be'amad Yivrach Yivutem Emlich Malchutei B'chaychon U'Yomechon Avchaydo B'Yisrael Ba'aglav Izman Kari Ve'imeru Amen Yesh Me'Rabba Bevorach Le'olam Alomei Almaya Yitbarach Vishtabach Vitzbar Vitzbar Nasei Vitzara Vitzle Vitzala Shemei Kutsha Brichu Le'ela Min Kol Berchata Shiv Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechmata Damira Me'Ama Ve'imeru Amen Tika Ba'al Tzotzon V'Otchon L'Cho Yisrael Kor V'Hon V'Ishmaya Ve'imru Amen Yesh Nama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Aleinu V'Ko Yisrael Ve'imru Amen Oseh Shalom Miramav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Ko Yisrael Ve'imru Amen Aleinu L'Shabeach Ha'adon HaKol Latet Gedula Le'Yotzer Bereshit Shelo Asanu Ki Goy Ha'aratzot V'Lo Hosamanu K'Mishbechot Ha'adama Shelo Samchokenu Kahem V'Gohor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam V'Anachnu Korim U'Mishtachavim U'Modim Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shunat Hashmai V'Saraf HaKatuv B'Toratecha Adonai Himloch Le'olam Va'ed V'Ne'emar V'Haya Adonai Le'melech Al Kol Ha'aretz Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad. I invite all those in a period of mourning to rise, and we'll say the words of the mourner's Kaddish on page 58. Yitzgadal ve'yitzkadash Shemei Rabba Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'gala b'zman kariv v'imru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lomei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzhalal Shmei dekutsha brichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da amiran be'alma v'imru Amen Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen Oseh shalom miramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Shabbat shalom, everybody. We'll end together with a song for peace. Thank you, Regina, for that nice message. And thank you, Yochev. And thank you to everybody who joined us, to Maria and Daniel and Nathan and Moma and Dan and Suzette and Steph, Jennifer, Jay, Sophie, Eldon, and Regina. I'm so glad we all get to share Kabbalat Shabbat together. We'll end with the words of Oseh Shalom. Sing along. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'achol Yisrael. 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 Okay, everybody. Services are tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I'm here on this YouTube channel. And then you can join me for Havdalah, and then late night Torah learning. We'll learn Chassidut. Havdalah's at 7:30. Chassidut is at 8 o'clock. I look forward to learning with you tomorrow night. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye, everyone.